Hello everyone and welcome. Today I have for you my last Valentine's Day card for this year. I love this one as it's not the typical Valentine's Day card with hearts and pink and purple colors. Also, this card is filled with all sorts of card making products, as you can see here. For this card, I'm going to be using a background stamp, I'm going to be heat embossing, die cutting, watercoloring, and I'm also going to be using Gilding Flakes. If you want to see the product list, you can find it over on my blog, the link is in the description. So let's get started. The first step is to stamp the background. I'm using a background stamp from MFT, which has this abstract pattern, and a stamping platform from Tonic Studios. This platform I bought exactly for this purpose, stamping with bigger stamps. Otherwise, I prefer to use the Minimisty. My watercolor cardstock is smaller than the card base, and because I wanted to have the pattern from corner to corner, I could not secure it with washi tape. But I knew I will have to restamp, so I needed it not to move. What I did here, I used a non-permanent adhesive on the back of the cardstock, and I used a scrap of paper underneath. This is because the non-permanent adhesive doesn't stick at all to the plastic of the stamping platform, but on the paper, which I was able to secure with washi, it did not move. The stamping took me forever. I'm not sure if my Versamark ink pad needs re-inking, but the middle would not stamp properly. I was also using a watercolor cardstock, which played a role as well. However, I got there eventually. I sprinkled the background with an embossing powder. I used here the metallic brass from Wow, and then I heat set it with my heat tool. I wanted the embossing powder to be similar to the color of the Gilding Flakes, which is in the color of copper. I also have the metallic copper embossing powder from Wow, but the brass was a better match. Next, I started painting. I actually made this card in the past for my old blog, but I didn't make a video for it. Here you can see that card. For that card, I used the Gonzai Tambi watercolors from Koretake. But for the card in this video, I'm using paints from Winsor & Newton just to switch it up as I used the ones from Koretake quite a lot recently. And this palette has similar colors to the original card. I'm using the Viridian Hue, Alizarin Crimson, and Payne's Grey. And I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it correctly. I painted each, what do you even call it? Sections of the pattern using the colors I picked, and I was switching them as I was painting. There is nothing special I did here, just a flat color application. However, I was having a lot of fun whilst painting. I was watching something on my iPad and just had a relaxing time while painting. I think this painting is quite straightforward and doesn't need much explanation, so I will play some music and let's speed through this so you see the whole painting without spending too much time on it. So the painting is done, if only I could work that fast. And while the background was drying, I worked on the greeting. I have this big die that says love. I think it is also from MFT. I wanted to create a dimension, so I die cut the letters 4 times. And here you can see me working on the 4th layer. For this one, I will be using the Gilding Flakes. And in order for them to stick onto the letters, I used a double-sided tape. I have this big sheet of tape from Score Tape, and I already had one pre-cut and it was the perfect size. I adhered it first onto a piece of white cardstock. I placed the die over it, secured it with a piece of washi, and then I ran it through my die cutting machine. I had to run it a few times through the die cutting machine so it cuts also through the adhesive. And next I adhered all the letters on top of each other using a liquid glue. You could also use the double-sided tape for all the letters, but with a liquid glue, you can reposition and align the letters, while with a double-sided tape, once you attach it, you won't be able to reposition. So if you place it wrong, you have to start all over again. Also, I really like the size of the letters. They are not too small and fiddly, so they were easily to adhere together. Lastly, I adhered the letters with the double-sided tape on top, and I was ready for the Gilding Flakes. So Gilding Flakes is a very thin metal foil. You pretty much cannot breathe around them, well, not literally, but when you get close and breathe, they will fly around your workspace, the same if you have any light breeze in your house or AC turned on. But at the same time, I love the results, so a little bit of mess is well worth it. To attach the Gilding Flakes onto the letters, I remove the backing paper from the tape, and then I place the flakes on top of it. And using my finger as well as a bone folder, but finger is completely enough, I rubbed and smoothened the area. I completely finished the letter L, but it was getting too messy, so first I attached the Gilding Flakes onto the letters, also using my bone folder to remove the excess flakes from the letters, smoothen it a bit and placed it aside. And after I had all flakes attached onto the letters, I put the Gilding Flakes that I had left over back into the jar. My working space was clean again, and then I just used this brush, I think it's called a stencil brush, and I went over the letters, removing the excess and making the surface smooth. If you do not have this brush, that's okay, using a finger is perfectly fine. To finish up the card, I attached the watercolor cardstock on top of a black card base. I think black card base works very well for this card, and to adhere it, I used a simple double-sided tape. Then I attached the letters. To have them evenly spaced, I used the cardstock with a negative space where I die cut the word love, which I used as a template. I attached the template onto the panel with a washi so it doesn't move. Make sure the washi is not super sticky so you don't ruin your background. And then I used a liquid glue for each letter and I attached them onto the watercolor background. If you have problems removing the template, make a cut below each letter to loosen it up. So here's the finished card. I really love the result. I love how shiny the letters are, and I hope you will try making something similar. But if you would like to have more ideas for Valentine's Day, you can check out my playlist where you can see all of my cards for this occasion. Have fun crafting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.